All right, let's get right into it. What if this life you're living isn't just some random journey? What if it's more like a final exam, one with some pretty major cosmic consequences? Today, we're going to explore a really unique philosophy that looks at our past, our purpose, and the afterlife in a way that might just flip how you think about everything. And this quote right here, this is the key that unlocks the whole thing. Just think about it for a second. You use a textbook to learn something, right? But once you actually know it, you put the book down. Well, according to this way of thinking, everything in your life, your experiences, your beliefs, even your relationships, they're all just textbooks. They're tools to help you learn, not things you're supposed to carry around forever. So our first stop is all about this idea of letting go. This philosophy says that we spend our lives collecting all sorts of tools, habits, knowledge, even spiritual beliefs that we depend on. But here's the twist. The goal isn't just to have the biggest toolbox. The real goal is to use those tools to grow so much that eventually you don't even need them anymore. Now, let's be super clear. This isn't about forgetting your past or being disrespectful to what you've learned. Not at all. It's about graduating. It's that feeling of confidence when you know the material so well, you don't need the book anymore. That is what real, honest-to-goodness, personal evolution feels like. Okay, so this is where that idea of letting go starts to get really, really interesting. Because it doesn't just apply to old ideas or habits. It completely reframes our most important relationships, from our parents all the way up to the divine. It's all about shifting from a needy, dependent relationship to a more mature kind of respect. And this slide just nails the analogy. Think about it. A little kid shows they honor their parents by, well, clinging to them, right? They need them for everything. But a grown adult, they show honor in a totally different way by becoming a capable, responsible person who actually contributes back. It's a completely different level of respect. And you can probably guess where this is going. The exact same logic applies to our spiritual lives. Always pleading, always asking for stuff, that's basically being that dependent child on a spiritual level. The highest, truest way to honor the divine or to repay any spiritual gifts is to stop asking and start living. Living a good, purposeful life, that's the ultimate thank you. So, if that's how we're supposed to live, what happens when it's all over? Well, this philosophy lays out this fascinating map of the afterlife, where your spiritual destiny isn't random. It's forged directly by what you did and what you were attached to in your life. First up, we have the ancestor god. This is the spirit of someone who lived a pretty good life, but their focus was entirely private. It was all about their own family, their kids, their grandkids. That powerful attachment to their bloodline keeps them connected, watching over their family from the other side. But then, there's a totally different path you can take. You have the public god. This is a spirit who, while they were alive, managed to look beyond just their own private world. They lived for society, for others, for a cause that was way bigger than just themselves. And that creates a totally different kind of spiritual being. And this chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's simple. Was your life's focus private or public? Was your main thing attachment or was it contribution? Your answer to that question literally determines what you become next. A life of public service makes you what's called a great god, a spirit with a much, much bigger impact. Of course, it's not just a choice between those two. If you live a life that was totally selfish, attached only to yourself, you end up as a wandering, disconnected ghost. And if you die with a really intense, unresolved attachment, like a lost love you just can't get over, you can get trapped as a vengeful spirit. It's all a direct consequence of where you put your energy in life. This brings us to what might be the most critical, most mind-blowing part of this whole philosophy. It's not just about how you live your life in total. It's specifically about how you finish it. Your final years, your final months, even your final moments, they carry an unbelievable amount of weight. Try to think of your death not like a period at the end of a sentence. It's more like the very first word of the next chapter. And that next chapter is a very long one. Your physical state, your emotional state, your spiritual state, it all gets locked in and becomes the ground floor of your new existence. So yeah, the stakes are incredibly high. According to the source material, whatever state you're in when you die, whether you're in pain or bitter or full of joy or living with purpose, that's the state you're going to live in for over 1,000 years. 1,000 years.
I mean, the contrast here could not be more clear. If you die suffering after a long illness, you become a suffering spirit. If you die full of anger and resentment, you become an angry spirit. But if you die while you're still engaged in meaningful, rewarding work that you love, you carry that dignity, that sense of purpose, right with you into the next world.
So, this all leads to one final huge idea that for some people, this is it. This is their last human life. No more second chances, no more do-overs, and if this is your final incarnation, it comes with an ultimate mission, a massive responsibility to the rest of the world.
And that mission is to help create and leave behind something called Jungbub, which means the righteous law. It's basically a blueprint, a correct way of living that can help guide everyone who comes after you. The whole point of a final life isn't just about you. It's about leaving the world better and wiser than you found it.
And this is how you achieve liberation, or hetal. It's not some magic trick. Basically, you take all your karmic debts and you convert them into something good for the world. You leave your work, your ideas, your art behind, and as future generations use what you left them, that positive energy slowly pays off your debt. You only get to fully ascend once your contribution has settled the score completely.
But I mean, come on, that's a monumental task, right? Where do you possibly begin with something like that? Well, there's a vital starting point, a non-negotiable first step. Before you can even think about helping the world, you have to help yourself. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Finding your own joy isn't selfish. It's actually a requirement for the mission. Someone who's full of their own problems and their own darkness can't bring light to anybody else. They just end up spreading their own negative energy. So the very first step to helping humanity is finding your own happiness and your own clarity.
So we're going to end on this question, just for you to think about. Forget about someday or when I retire. According to this philosophy, your eternal future is being built right now, in this moment. So if the person you are today, your mood, your focus, your level of purpose was going to be locked in for the next 1,000 years, what would you change, starting right now?